Hello everybody and welcome to the adventures of the Windswift. It's a full crew here today and things are, well, let's see what things are doing as Dice of Destiny will tell us where we go. Now, if you entered the 100,000 giveaway you would have got one of these, but if you didn't you wouldn't have, so there we go. Dice of Destiny says it's going to be whoever is rolled. That is number 3. Jorek, you are up again. What happened in last week's episode? Refresh our memories, if you please. Let us know.
I shall try and refresh our memories.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
I have to refresh my own memory.
Very good.
But, in essence, what I remember from last week is that we being Con, Adru'sai, and Jorek, were trying to set up everything for the great assassination for when the Lord Archon Dengathwin would make his way to Velen. So that's what we were doing. We were preparing and fixing and getting ready. And Atra rode out to meet the Lord Archon, or rather more scout out where the Lord Archon was, and ended up murdering his wagon driver and took his place. That's dangerous. Anyway, so he went with them, or he drove the wagon for the entire day until they made camp, and then he unceremoniously murdered both the Lord Archon and the Lord Archon's, I think, Ice Elven servant or something. So we now have a wagon, but no Lord Archon, so that's done. So that's great. And then we had Sekhet. Sekhet was trying to make the Windswift go safely from Lorcan Castle to Deidi. Yes.
Yeah.
Good lord. I'm doing this entirely from memory because I have basically no notes. But ended up getting intercepted by the Sun Chaser sent by Archon Kufet. And the Sun Chaser did, well...
They said they wanted to talk, but after some back and forth, it ended up being talking with ballistas. So they had a great battle, and Sekhet and the crew of the Windswift were successful in driving the Sun Chaser away. But the Sun Chaser eventually returned to attack again in the cover of the mist. And it ended up actually sinking the Sun Chaser and... executing the captains. Or
yeah, one was already dead, the other one was
they're both dead, yeah.
Yeah, one was lightning, the other
I
one was
think that's all. Did I miss anything?
No, I think that's pretty good, except the Sun Chaser was not sunk. She was salvaged.
For a windship, it was sunk. It was brought to the ground.
Just windy.
I mean, you said it was like the Titanic, already half underwater. Right?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
it had taken on water.
I'm salvaging it.
That was
okay.
the intention, was indeed to salvage the Sun Chaser, absolutely. I believe the biggest problem with the Sun Chaser was that it still has an active engine, and none of the current crew who are on board the Windswift have any ideas on how to discombobulate the machine and make it stop working.
I sort of know, but I'm not there.
You are not there, indeed. All right, so this just needs to finish up in terms of where we are. Atramentum is riding a wagon back to town. That is probably going to take the better half of the day if you're going to push the horses to death. I'm not sure what the plan is there. That's where you are, the three of you, and I mean that in terms of Con, Adru'sai, and Jorek. You are all standing outside of Velen enjoying the morning sun. No, I'm getting a shaking of heads. I thought that's where you had went. No. Okay, so let's try a third time's the charm. Sekhet, you were on board the Windswift, and you had shored up the Sun Chaser so that you could begin to sort of repair and do that sort of thing. Is that sort of vaguely right?
Let's make a fleet.
There we go. Okay, well, 2 out of 3. I think I can take 2 out of 3. So in that case then, Con and Jorek and Adru'sai, what are you doing if you're not doing what I thought you were doing?
We're in different places.
What are we doing?
Me and Jorek are walking along the road. We're meeting Atramentum's wagon.
So you are outside.
Yes, but Con is still in the
Con
town. But we were walking along the road when
Right.
Sekhet also last time.
Right, and you were being obnoxious with some sand things, weren't you?
Not some things, but I was like, I don't know, teaching you weird songs or something, just keeping your spirits up.
Jork's tone deaf. That's going to be a challenge.
Yay! That's even better.
Con, where are you then?
I was loitering in the city, waiting for the wagon to arrive with the three.
Yes. This was in the morning, however, as there wasn't very much else to.
Well, they were arriving. I was arriving in the evening, right? I think.
Yes,
I
you were
actually
arriving
thought
in
we
the
were
evening.
already in
the
the.
night. Yeah.
No, we haven't gone through the day yet. That's why I was so surprised that you were going to go and wait outside.
Right. Is anyone
yes.
recording this?
Yes, I am. Hopefully.
Good. Okay, so
Yeah.
just my note.
Yeah, no one else is, so let's hope that it actually holds water. So there we are. Good to always to check. All right, so Con, you are loitering, waiting for the wagon. Now, you did get sent the message that from the last time Atramentum communicated with the three of you was that they were going to arrive sometime at night. So you have the better half of the day and the evening. There was no indicator as to exactly when he was going to arrive.
Yes, this is true, which leaves Con at a bit of a loose end at the moment. Beyond probably fairly exhaustively reconnoitering the route between the gate and the Temple of Tandas, that's where we're going, right?
Right.
Yeah, there's not a lot else for him to do.
Right. Okay. So that's pretty much what you're doing. Adru'sai and Jorek, you're out in the morning day sun. You said you were going for a walk. Are you walking half a day out of Velenhold?
We're just walking until we meet Atra, really. I think.
All right. So just to clarify on the confusion, it's still morning for you two. He said he was going to arrive at night.
Yes.
Yeah. The idea is that we're going to meet the wagon out of sight of the city of Velenhold, so no one can see us get in and replace the Dengathwin. The Dengathwin. The Lord Archon.
All right, so that's what the two of you are doing. Okay, and Sekhet, you are busy repairing the Sun Chaser and slowly making your way to Die Day, is that correct?
Yeah, with the Sun Chaser, I guess, in tow.
Quite right. Quite right. Okay. All right. Yeah. Sorry, Adru'sai.
I suppose we'll call Sekhet back after a while, because last time we were on a call with these stones, we were interrupted by battle. So I think a couple of hours later, we'll sort of call back and check in.
Right.
We'll see how that worked out.
Right.
That's probably a good idea. I like the stones.
The stones. You see the problem. You give them talking stones, and they just vanish.
They use them.
They just start talking. It's crazy. All right, Atramentum, you are riding along the road back to Velenhold. Is that your plan? Is that what you're doing?
Sure. Before the question, is there an enclave in Velenhold?
Not that you're aware of.
The next enclave of the Cabal would be where?
The next closest one would be Grainby, which is about, give or take, 25 to 30 miles northwest of Velenhold.
So that's about a day's travel.
With this wagon, maybe 3/4 of a day.
Yeah, about a day's travel.
Yeah.
Okay. I gotta do it, right? So, on my way to Velenhold, back to Velenhold, what I would do is, you say these are like rolling hills and like plains mostly,
Plains,
right?
principally. This part of the territory is starting to head north, starting to get cooler, so it's cattle and sheep that start to dominate the area. That's just large open plains given over to grazing.
All right, so what I would be looking for then is like a sentinel tree, like a landmark, like something that is distinctly and easily kind of recognizable.
Sure. Simple enough out here in the plains. You're probably seeing a tree every 10 miles, if you're
Right.
lucky. Or
Like
copse of
a
trees
landmark
or
that
wood.
would be able, that somebody would be able to kind of identify
Yeah,
again,
sure,
like
absolutely.
find again, right?
Correct. There's also little villages and things that are dotted all over the place too.
Right, but I'm not looking. I want it to be outside of any kind of where people are living,
Sure.
but just the moo. The cow says moo, and that's about it, right?
Gotcha.
What I will then do is go to this landmark and start to dig a hole in the ground.
Right, you are. Not too difficult to dig a hole. Yeah.
Right.
How,
And I'll
how
put-
deep is this hole? I mean, if it's just it's a hole, it's easy. If it's construction to the core of the planet, that's a little bit longer.
Yeah, I was like, I was trying to get to the drow, so. No, like I don't know, like 5-6 feet.
All
It
right,
doesn't
so-
need to necessarily be like as wide as a grave, but as deep as a grave, let's say.
That's ominous. All right. Okay.
And then
so-
I'll put the money in, at least half of it.
All right, not a problem. You can do that. Mark X on your map as to where you've buried it. It'd be convenient if you wrote "Here lies treasure" too, because then if anyone finds the map later on, they can go looking for it.
Exactly.
As one must do if you're making a map with an X on it. Okay, so yeah, and then you continue on your journey to Valenhol. Is that correct?
And I would push the horses a little bit to kind of make up for the lost time.
For the lost time, not a problem whatsoever. Con, there is something strange going on in Valenhold. You've been observing and sort of watching and walking up and down for a good couple of hours. There has been some significant movement of, it looks like, religious leaders from all of the major temples towards the central almost acropolis, if you like, the central construct in the middle of Valenhold. And they've been getting more and more people going in and no one coming out. But what is starting to happen is that there's a crowd starting to form around the steps that lead up to this central conflux of temples.
Oh, naturally curious, I filter into the crowd and listen to what's been said about me.
Right. It's not difficult. No one's masking it. Someone leans over and says, do you think that the gods died? And someone else sort of says, what? That'd be fucking stupid. Why would a god die? I mean, you can't kill gods, can you? And then someone else goes, they've never summoned all the leaders to the high tower like this before. Usually it's months of prep, and usually it's only on the big days, like Brax's birthday or, the big event. There's nothing in our calendar that says that today is important. Absolutely nothing. As a matter of fact, it's auspicious that in this entire week, there's one festival that's been supposedly found by Reft, which is going to play tomorrow, but it's a little street parade. It's nothing important. So, yeah. What you gather is that the heads of all of the temples have been summoned by Hierophant Spoth to, yes, just the heads, quite literally, to Hierophant Spoth's chambers for an ecclesiastical confluence of some importance by the looks of things, because there are a few who came charging in with quite significant speed, as a matter of fact, to get to this event. So, yeah, well, who knows what's going on, Jorek? Certainly, you're not in charge of security, by the way, for the Hierophant. Absolutely not. There's too much sword and death. Yeah, so that is what you gather. What is more alarming is the fact that they've now been in there for 2 hours, and no one has come out. This does not bode well.
This is very concerning.
I skirt around the crowd until I find myself in a place. I'm looking for sewer access to the grand temple. Anyway, and for a mouse, which is what I will do once I find a quiet space to effect such a transformation.
Roll a d20 for me. Just give me the number. Doesn't matter. Just don't roll 1 through 5.
Oh, that's good. 9.
You transform into a mouse and then realize, oh my god, the goddess of Nim, who's nearby, her sacred animal is a cat, but her temple is quite far from here, so you should be okay. You disappear into
a
the...
very sorry cat.
Yes, they would be. I'd be very surprised when the mouse suddenly turned into an octopus. And this is simply because the other 4 of you are in transit. You are walking, so I'm sticking with Con if you feel left out. Otherwise, I can cut to you and say you see some grass growing. Or in your case, Sekhet, there's water lapping, and Mios is excited about dolphins. So, Con, you sort of slip into the sewer works. Give me either give me an investigate check or a survival check as you try to make your way in a certain direction.
Let's go with investigate. I'm good at that. Survival actually. Let's do that instead. 18.
18. All right. You start to scurry your way through the sewers, and it's quite unusual as to how clean they are. Not the usual sort of detritus and that sort of thing. But then you realise, oh, it's probably swept by devotees who are showing their faith to their god by mucking out somebody else's sewage. And it takes you the better part of an hour to navigate through the sewer system. Where are you trying to head? Are you sort of listening to conversations at vents and then moving on until you find something that makes more sense?
Essentially, I mean, obviously, I don't know the layout of the place, but I'm going to assume that I need to go in and up.
Right. As you've got to the 3rd floor, which for a mouse is quite a climb, you happen to come across 2 acolytes, and you can see their ankles and sandals as they stand next to the vent that you've just sort of scurried past. And you hear them saying, I would have thought so too, but apparently, well, it's all taking place down in the antechamber. I have no idea why. He hasn't been down there in ages, as a matter of fact. Well, I suppose it's all the same thing, really, but usually the tower is where it happens. They've got a better view from there. Anyway, they've asked for lunch, apparently, and get this. They've asked for it's only meat. I'm not entirely sure what anyway, so kitchen's busy trying to figure out what the hell they're going to be doing. But there we are. That's what it is. Back to you.
I don't like where this is going.
No. Like, I don't understand what's happening, but I don't like it.
Do you continue where you went up, Con, or are you changing course?
Well, naturally, upon learning that I've been going in the wrong direction, I go down.
Right. You start making your way down, and before long, it's easier going down. You can sort of surf along the rivulets of water that are making their way down to the...
I just saw this
deeper
bearded
tanks.
mouse roll his eyes. It's like,
You eventually arrive at a place. It's a very high vent, so you're looking into a very large chamber. And there is absolutely no mistaking the voice that you hear. It resonates throughout the chamber, and in the sewers you can see the water rippling whenever the speaker talks. And what you run into is in mid-sentence, once we have resumed control, we will then ensure that those who are loyal to us will be treated fairly. At which point there's another voice that says, you're completely mad, Spoth. No one is ever going to possibly... And then there's this blast of arctically cold air, and the voice is silent.
chill out.
No.
Eyes to see you.
Yeah. Yeah, dear God.
It's not.
I'm trying to get a better view.
All right. You peek your head in through the vent as best you can. There's a chamber that was built underneath Valenhold. Quite a large chamber, and you are in the vaulted ceiling at the very top. Looking down, you can see there is indeed this very large, very damaged-looking dragon. He only has one wing. The other is still missing. And he is basically reclining on these large amounts of gold and goblets and things. And it looks like it's quite haphazardly been thrown to make a space for him. Standing next to him is this very old elf who has all of the accoutrement of a very high-powered priest. There's large amounts of gold and red, and he has a meter on his head, which is nearly a meter high. Just there's this whole identity of man who's important. Then arrayed in front of him, you can see 17 rather nervous-looking individuals and one rather dashing ice sculpture, which is slowly starting to drip now.
Once I recover some of myself from having seen a dragon for the second time in my life.
Right.
No, well, for realsies, yes.
For realsies, yes.
Realsies. This mouse is having an existential crisis about realsies. Yep. All right.
Yes. I'm looking to obviously Spoth is in league.
Yes, he's standing next to the beast, looking like one who has been part of this for quite some time.
I'm now going to examine the others. Are they uniformly dismayed and aghast? Are some of them looking less dismayed than others? Who have we got here?
There's a few that are looking fairly pleased with themselves. There's one particularly large individual who's sitting on an equally ostentatious throne, though still in deference to the others. He seems quite pleased with himself. There's this incredibly handsome man, dressed in very little clothing, who seems to be absolutely having a wonderful time, smiling and laughing every now and again. He is actually trying to break the finger off of the frozen one and put it into his drink that he's holding. Seems completely happy with the entire situation. Everybody else, however, seems to be absolutely terrified. And as you're watching, the dragon lowers its head and says, "Where is the one who is responsible for Tandas?" And this very nervous, very librarian-looking man steps forward and raises his hand and says, I am Lord Venkatani. I speak for Tandas." And the dragon looks at him and says, "Where is my charge? He is missing."
No.
To which Venkatani says, at last reports he had passed through some small little village named Fush, and was well on his way here. He should arrive this evening. So you have nothing to worry about, my lord. He is soon to arrive. There is a blue light that flares in the dragon's nostrils as it starts to inhale, and the priest Tandas immediately starts to throw up spells in front of him, to which the dragon just puts his foot forward onto the priest and impales him with his claws, and does a funny sort of choking sound as he swallows back what he was about to do, and then flicks the corpse of the priest off of his talons. "Anybody else feel like casting magic in my presence?" says the dragon. immediately a whole lot of priests suddenly stop drawing holy circles and symbols in front of them as they were afraid of death. What else are you doing?
So I have a question. Is this the same dragon they found underneath the...
Yep, the exact same dragon.
Just turn into a blue whale and drop on its head.
Yeah.
Turn into human and try to open the door. That worked out well last time.
That worked well last time.
So, well, I continue watching. I mean, is their meeting over?
No, not by a long shot. What it sounds like is that this dragon has grown tired of waiting. Things have happened. He doesn't go into details, but you get the general idea that with the collapse of the Order, things are moving forward now faster than had previously been planned. He is basically here to tell them, via Lord Spoth's blessing, that he will now be considered a deity, and that the religious leaders of Braxia will either proclaim him to be the worthy successor of Brax, or they will be consumed. This debate rages on for quite some time, until a completely unaware attendant comes in and rushes up to one of the priests and sort of whispers something and then rushes out again. The priest then says, meals are ready for us, but I don't have much stomach for food right now. None of the other priests do. The dragon, however, simply says, bring it here. And these trays are brought in of roasted beef, etc. And it just starts sort of swallowing it down, chunking it down as it continues to listen. The priests are, by and large, it seems, trying to figure out how they could possibly word it so that the people of Braxia actually listen to them, but so that when or if the dragon gets defeated, they could back out of that, saying, well, actually, that's the subtle undertone that you're getting. It's a bunch of people desperately trying to create a new law, whilst not trying to create a new law. Yes.
Oh god, the dragon has the helmet because I left it in this room. Bugger me. Oh dear.
I have killed Brax.
Oh god.
Well,
I mean, it might help the case, but yeah.
Yeah, they're trying to figure it out.
Or not.
How long are you going to stay there for?
I think I've heard and seen enough.
Right.
I leave and make my way back to the gate.
All right. You realize that you are about half a day behind Adru'sai and Jorek.
Well, between my wandering the streets and wandering to the center of the city to visit this place and exploring it and such, I imagine I've killed a fair chunk of the day.
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm saying. You're at least half a day behind them. So if you wanted to try and catch up with them, they've got that whole half day's worth of...
Oh, no, there's little point in me trying to do that.
Oh, you're just going to wait for them to arrive. All right. Well, it is not long before sunset when Jorek and Adru'sai managed to...
We were going to contact Sekhet.
Oh, you were going to contact Sekhet. Yes, please do so. Yes, go for it.
Right, I'm going to sort of just, as we're walking, just take up the stone again. After a couple of hours to sort of let you finish the fighting.
Oh, right. They got attacked in the middle of the message.
Yes, then we had to interrupt because they were being attacked.
I completely forgot. I was like, shut up, fight!
Like, we need to know that you're alive.
Yes.
Yeah, this is true.
So ring ring, hello. Hello, I'm going to put it on speaker. Hello.
I kind of look at the phones like, ooh. Oh, sorry, the phones. The stones.
Stones, yes, the stones.
Ooh, Freudian slip there.
The
I'm
stone.
like, ooh, what's this? Ooh, it rings now. Okay.
No, it whistles.
Yes.
It actually just activates. It's not that sophisticated.
Yes, you have a hologram in your pocket.
Yeah, you got to remember the progression that we went through. First was MIDI tones, then it was polyphonic tones, and then only did we actually get to it. Yeah. So stone technology is just not there yet.
Okay.
All right, the two of you are in contact with one another.
Hello, Adru'sai.
Hi, you're alive. That's a good start.
I'm very alive.
What happened?
I may have killed the captains on the Sun Chaser, but they had that coming, so...
Oh, thank goodness.
Sounds good.
Excellent.
So
I
that's
am
two more
so
fashions.
sorry about this. I should not have told Kufet all of those things, I realize now.
No,
I was
well,
a little desperate for, finding someone else alive who was on our side. But, that's on me. Terribly sorry.
okay. Well, we nobody knew that he would be on the side of the dragons, so...
In retrospect, his explanation was a little thin.
Look upon it from the bright side. We got 2 dead captains and we got another one on the list.
Yes, and, at some point we will catch up with him and kill him. So,
How's the crew?
they're mostly okay, yeah.
Mostly okay, meaning...
Might have to do a little work with Mios. He's developed an interesting taste in fashion.
Okay. But no one's dead, right?
No.
Oh, good. Okay.
Well,
How's the Windswift?
is Con with you?
No.
Good. Windswift is being fixed.
And she has a float.
She's afloat,
Oh,
absolutely.
That's good.
And we have floated the Sun Chaser, and that is also being fixed. And it's in tow with Windswift. There's just minor
that's neat.
damage to the deck and the
Yes.
hull. We may have lost the rather attractive woman on the front of the Windswift, but otherwise, totally seaworthy.
Well, what about the other
We
ship?
could always nail you to the front of the ship. Sorry.
Well, you are an attractive woman. I'm just saying. Look,
You can have a wooden version of me. Yes.
that we could do.
So
Actually,
the Sun Chaser is more or less intact?
It is now. Like I said, we're towing it and fixing it is.
what about the engine? It has an engine, right?
It has an engine, and I'm not really sure how to disable said engine.
Yes, we lost the...
Remind me, Adru'sai, you have to feed it magical units in order to keep it from opening, yes?
Yes.
and
I was watching and sort of learning while the Jock and Sod shut those down, so I might be able to do it correctly, but I'm not sure about if I can do it from here.
Well,
Well,
let's
it's been
just
said
keep it
medical units,
closed.
magical units.
Yes.
Just feed it magical units until we can all reunite
Oh,
and
yeah.
we'll figure
I'm
out how to
coming up
disable
Yes,
it.
I'll shut it down if I can when I get there. And if it becomes an emergency, just call me, but not now because we're heading into the city and I'm going to be impersonating Dengathwin. So if you call me in my pocket while I'm doing that, that might be a little bad. So
reveal things, yeah.
I'll if your head just pops out of my pocket, that might be a little weird. I mean, I could probably explain it away as some kind of pornographical device, but anyway, look, I'll call you now and then when I have the chance.
Okay, no, that's fine. Like I said, I'm coming up with a cunning plan with what to do with the Sun Chaser and its engine.
Okay, good. Did they say anything, the captains?
Oh, well, yeah. You know what they were both like. They said a lot of stuff, but most of it was complete and utter BS. So there's that one of them with lightning and then cut that. Well, I didn't cut the head off it, the other one, but one of the barbarians did quite helpfully cut off the head of the other one.
All right, good old-fashioned execution. Very nice. Hey, it's our first one. Does that mean that we're like a proper Inquisition type order now?
I do not think that's the proper response to this.
I'm just saying, we've been executing people for a long time. How can you have an issue with it now, Jorek?
Because I'm not entirely sure they were actually guilty before.
They attacked the Windswift in a flying ship.
Okay, fair enough. I mean before.
Well, before,
They were definitely.
Oh, you mean
breaking
like
a
that?
custom.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, that's a really worrying thing that you just brought up that I'm not going to think about until in about a week or so when I'm possibly going to have a breakdown about it, but I don't have the time right now, Joe.
I'm okay with it.
All right.
Oh.
Keep up the good work, Sekhet. Sounds like you're doing fine.
Yes, say hello to everyone and tell them good work, and we miss them very much, and everyone is fine.
Okay. I have to go and de-brainwash Mios.
Yes,
Why?
do that.
Like,
He thinks
what's
he's a barbarian. This is a problem.
Oh, that's
Boy.
amazing. Please wait until I come back. I want to see it so bad.
No, you really do not want to be
Please.
in a loincloth made out of fur.
Oh,
He has less muscles than me.
I know, this is the other
he's a
problem.
tiny baby. I want to see this so bad.
Wasn't he 15?
Yeah, 15.
13, 14, 15. You went
somewhere there.
Tiny baby.
He's probably taller than you at this point.
He's a tiny baby. He's emotionally a tiny baby anyway.
Well, that's to say the whole ensemble was not what we were expecting, especially with the oil. So, yeah.
Oil? How can you do this to me, Sket? I'm not there to see it.
Wait a minute, I have a plan. Nios, come here.
And we'll quickly cut away from that phone call as I don't know. I was channeling phone calls with parents, Jorek and Adru'sai, the doting parents, poor old Sekhet, the teenager being told what to do. That's
Get
a
a babysitter,
that's
the
a-
sort of older sister.
Georg is thinking what the hell Adru'sai is after anyway. It's like,
I just want to see the baby doing his first barbarian thing. It's so cute. He has dreams and aspiration, and he's growing up, and I love it. And I want to see it.
right. Well, after
Moving on.
some awkward poses from Mios as he tries to show you what Biora has taught him, the call eventually
I'm
ends.
very proud.
And you continue your way down the road. As the sun is about to set over the great plains that stretch out away in all different directions, and the fresh smell of the distant moors starts to drift across with the hints of bog and mayfly, you start to see a wagon making its way fairly swiftly towards you. The horses have a slick sheen over them that belies their extreme exertion, that they have started to sweat profusely. This does not bode well. If they don't take rest shortly, they will most likely expire. You are about, give or take, 3/4 of a day away from the temples of Velenhold. At Trementum, you see these two figures walking down the road. I think it is an unmistakable silhouette that you would see as you are approaching the two of them.
Ho, ho. Kind of slowing down. Now, there would be something that, as we kind of get close to actually see each other in detail, that would be maybe obvious about Atra right now. I wouldn't be I changed because I don't really need the masquerade anymore right now. So in my tiefling appearance, one thing that would stand out is that his eyes are glowing red coals right now. And as he kind of brings the carriage to a stop, and the horses, I would assume still because of so exhausted, but also kind of roiled up from the kind of exertion, right? Kind of, how do you say this in English? Like when they
Winnie.
whinny.
Winnie.
And
Yes.
the German word is so different. That's like,
It is, yes. Correct.
yeah. So
Gnägga in Swedish, so.
Hmm?
It's gnägga in Swedish, so.
Yeah.
Viren,
Nowhere near close.
German. So it's like,
All right.
anyway. So jumping down, and he seems angry, not necessarily at you, but just like in the state of anger. And
Are you all right?
I guess there were a few complications.
There always are. What's wrong?
What's wrong? Yeah.
I did not do my job correctly.
Oh?
I was surprised by the nature of my quarry. Got false information. Information that you might have shared with me as well.
What exactly are you talking about?
Your Lord Archon was a lich,
What?
Are you kidding me?
an undead.
I mean, I know he looked bad, but I had
That
no
is-
idea.
We did not know that.
When we fought him, he looked like a frail little elf ready to keel over at the least.
Yeah, the only thing he did when he fought him was run away. And I mean, he did another thing too, but let's not go into that. He ran down a staircase. We had no idea. But you're all right? Did he do anything horrible?
He died. Again, I guess.
Well, that's not horrible. That's good.
But there is repercussions. Killing an undead. They're changed. They're not alive anymore. Their soul is bound to an object.
Does that mean we're not going to be able to chat?
Usually it means they just reform when you kill their undead vessel.
Yes.
But we don't have that problem. I captured his soul.
Well,
However,
that's good.
Good.
However, since his soul is changed, I am not willing to summon him.
You think it'll be dangerous?
No. But I would not be able to return a soul to my contractor.
I see. There's a risk the soul would escape and return to the item.
Perhaps the copy of a copy of a copy would just expire altogether. I'm not quite sure what will happen, but I am not willing to risk it.
Sounds
Yes.
fair enough.
This is why we wanted to have a capture and interrogation thing first, but
Well, I asked you for questions. You did not send any.
oh, questions for him? I did not expect you to be doing with the murdering right then and there and an impromptu interrogation in the middle of the road. That's not quite what I expected from you. But I mean, it's
You
done.
not
I'm
expect
not
me to
sad
murder the
about
Lord
it.
Archon?
Sorry, what?
You did not expect me to murder the Lord Archon?
Not there, no. I expected you to do the thing that we said we were going to do.
Well, it was a good possibility. He was alone. He wasn't expecting it.
Yes,
He
no,
was
fair enough.
asleep.
Like, I'm not like putting any blame on you, and I'm not upset, really. I'm just saying this is why we plan things. But no, you did your job. I can't fault you for that, and I'm very happy that he's not technically alive right now.
Well, he wasn't before, but yes.
No, but you know, he's not a threat right now anymore. We're very happy about that.
Adru'sai, do you know of any ways to identify undead?
I can identify undead. If I know to look for them, at least.
Because the thing is, as far as I've heard, Spoth was also there at the founding of the orders and the banishing of, or the supposed banishing of the dragons.
Yes.
So he's also very old. There is a great risk that he's also an undead in that case.
There is also a great risk that when I get there, they will realize that I'm not.
True.
Because that is a very simple thing for a lot of priests to do.
I've heard he was heading to Valenhold, renowned for their priests and clergy.
Exactly. And now being a lich, I may be... Look, all we can hope is that at least at the Temple of Tandas, they won't be expecting the switch and at once, and we might have enough time to grab the book and get out.
I imagine he's kept this very, very secret, so I don't expect
Yes,
the common clergy to know.
that's true. The only thing we can hope for there is that they're not expecting it, and if they are, we'll just go invisible and run away.
Do you know anything of very light or pale, light colored or pale elves? He had one with him.
Yes, we
You
do,
mean pale
actually.
as in almost white?
Yeah.
I would say the opposite of a drow.
Mhm.
Yes. We've run into a few of them. They seem They seem to play a part in all of this somehow. They're called ice elves. There's very few of them.
Of course they are. Well, that is the guys that you would have to don as well, I guess.
Are they still in the?
I burned their bodies.
Hmm.
I don't want any of these things being linked back to me.
Fine, no, that's fine.
Which brings me to the contents of the carriage. It had a lot of gold in it and jewelry and stuff.
Some sort of tribute or payment, possibly, or
Perhaps.
just his savings, maybe.
No, all the notes that we found, Atra, didn't they speak about a trade, about a book,
Possibly.
and a lot of other books?
They
There
did.
could be something about that.
Maybe some final payment or something. Yes.
Possible, yes. But we should get going.
Yes, we really should. I'm going to contact Con once we get into the wagon.
Would you say contact?
What? When we walked, I would have sort of timed it. Can I figure out how long exactly it would take to get there from here? Like how many hours?
To the city, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, to the city you are looking at about 5.5.
All right. Not long enough for a long rest. Damn it. Oh well. No, that's fine.
Just
You
wait
should
3 hours.
No, that's fine. Let's get this over with.
I nod and say, well, once we get to Valenhold, I will want to see Ral Refwin.
Yes. I mean, I'm sure that's where we'll head after we get into the Temple of Tandas and grab the book. We'll head there for some sort of safe haven, legally at least.
Well, I had a deal with him and I need to speak about the details of the deal. So
Yes, but can we do that after the heist?
you can do your heist, that's fine.
But you're the driver. You're supposed to not
Drive.
run off immediately. Like, I mean, as long as you're not suspicious about it, I suppose you can move on. But, you know, the more the merrier and safer and all that. I'm just asking for some sort of backup here.
Well, I'm the driver, as you said. He didn't know anything about the people he was carrying, so I will not be able to go with you into the temple.
No, not into the temple, but I'm just saying we might at some point require someone at the outside or someone to create a distraction or open a door or something, and maybe you waiting 20 minutes or so would mean a lot to us and not too much to you.
We'll see.
Please.
Sekhet,
Pretty please.
a report is brought to you by Captain Tai. Commodore, we are making fairly slow progress along the coastline. We expect to make Day by probably, if not tomorrow evening, then first thing the following day. I wish that Sunchaser was the Windswift, to be perfectly honest with you. Don't tell that to Commodore Con, however. The Windswift took a battering, and she is slowly recovering. The Sunchaser, however, was... she took a hell of a beating, but she has had some modifications done to her internals. Much more compartmentalization. Doesn't have any cargo space like we do. As a result, she's actually performing slightly better than the Windswift in terms of sort of repair work, as you say. It's easier to sort of flood a compartment, fix it, or drain it, I should say, fix it, and then move on to the next one. Barbarians are proving remarkably useful in terms of hard labour. I do think that you might need to speak to Mios. I suspect he may want to leave the Windswift at the end of this.
To join the barbarians.
It does seem like he has that on his mind, yes. I think there's a certain impression that's been made, and I can't blame him, I suppose. Given the fact that he's no longer aboard a flying ship, he didn't sign up to be a sailor. Or at least... not a sailor on a ship on the water.
Yes, well, again, I think I have a cunning plan.
Right. We've been continuing to feed magic units into the ship's engine. I've assumed that they need one every sort of 6 hours or so.
Well, I'm assuming it's like the Windswift when we flew, and that's pretty much what we did. So
is it? I
that
don't
works.
know. We were never allowed in the engine room, so we're flying blind, as it were. There, there's gauges and dials and things which seem to indicate values. I'm trying to keep them all in the middle. I think that makes sense.
That's a good plan. Yes. So we would get to
Die day.
We would get. Yes. Well, I'm just actually thinking a little bit further ahead than that. We would get to the others a lot quicker if we used the Sun Chaser.
Well, Sun Chaser would certainly have repairs done faster if she was in the air. There's no doubt about that. I did think there that we had said that we weren't going to use the engines on account that they belong to the enemy.
No, not exactly. Okay. Ask the volunteers among the crew, and don't give Mios a choice. He will be travelling with me on the Sun Chaser without the barbarians. But for the rest of them, if they'd like to volunteer, I would like to know who would like to travel with me on the Sun Chaser with Mios as well. Tell him he's going to be my Batman or something. I don't know. And you will have to take over complete leadership of the Windswift in the meantime. And the Draconstroke's sister is still on board, isn't she?
That's right. Yes, she is.
I think I might want her. She may have some knowledge that her brothers may have imparted to her over the years about engines. I think she would be a wise volunteer. But the others are free to volunteer freely, if you know what I mean.
I understand. I will get a voluntary crew assembled for you straight away. How long are you expected to be gone? The Sun Chaser doesn't have many supplies on board. It looks like they've been flying quite hard to get to us.
Well, make sure there's a good supply of food, because that's always important. I can cook for myself, so that's also less of an issue. Heraclon can stay on here if necessary. After all, I don't want our crew starving. So,
makes sense.
Yeah, I just want a good supply of food on board. Oh, and, ballista units and stuff like that.
Yes, she was quite remarkably heavily armed, as a matter of fact, for that. And they've done something unusual, which I haven't seen before. The magic units we store in crates traditionally within the armory of or the magazine of the ship. They have several more crates than we normally carry as complement. Once again, placed throughout the interlocking sections of the ship. It seems as if they were preparing for quite a battle.
Well, that went in their favour, didn't it? Oh well, we'll just use that for our advantage. So, interesting. Leave those on board. We'll definitely need them. Or I suspect we'll need them.
Right,
this is going to be very much one of those I'm coming up with a very cunning plan moments.
I'm sure you are, Commodore. We have faith in you. You will undoubtedly make the right call. I'll go and get those preparations ready for you. I suspect that the Sun Chase will be able to depart this evening, perhaps towards midnight, somewhere around there. Late start, I'm afraid, but if you want to get moving, this is the time is now.
No, I think if I've got time to have a short rest, well, rather a rest,
absolutely,
then I will do that so I can stock up on my just some sleep would be nice, and then we will go in the cover of darkness.
In that case, then I'm going to recommend that we actually come to a full halt and that we redirect our efforts instead of trying to navigate to repair the vessels.
Yes.
Thank you, Commodore. That's all I need from you. She gives you this salute, which you haven't seen before. She sort of snaps off this very military-style thing, and she turns. Then she looks back at you and she says, I feel that a little bit more formality is what the crew has been lacking in the past, and we're institutionalizing these salutes now. Superiors don't salute to their inferiors, inferiors salute to the superiors until the superior has acknowledged them or has dismissed them. It will help bring a sense of understanding to the crew in terms of structure, as well as to give them a sense of pride in their vessel as we move into darker times. She says.
Are we also
she-
going to implement a uniform, Lieutenant Captain Tai?
As a matter of
Uniforms are
fact,
snappy.
I was going to ask you if there was some small budget for that, as I have been doing some reading, some of the books that I found on the vessel. Those are all still in safe keeping, by the way. Should I transfer those to the Sun Chaser?
No, you carry on perusing the books. That
Very
sounds
good.
like your kind of thing.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to seeing your designs on said uniform. I'm sure Adru'sai is too.
I'll make note to include more silk. It's a good suggestion, Commodore. Thank you. She then turns and leaves. Con, you have you're loitering with intent, basically. Is that your plan?
No lollygagging.
No. I leave the temple and head directly for the gate.
Sure.
And somewhere in between there change from mouse to dog.
Yep.
And trot happily and waggy-tailed out the gate and down the road until I'm out of sight of the city.
Sure.
And then I sit down, facing the road, and wait.
This con dog just sits there and sort of paws down and just waits. Oh, what a sight. Okay. So Atra, Jorek, and Adru'sai, I assume you continue towards the city. You did say that, yeah?
Yes.
Um,
I was actually going to cast Sending to Con as soon as we're on our way.
All right, go for it. As you're doing your third
bracing.
circle, Con, about to sit down on the ground, a message comes through to you.
At the carriage on our way in 5.5 hours. Hope you're all right. Everything's good here. Bye.
That's what you get.
Atra says hi.
Right. They sort of whine, scratch behind my ear, sniff the air a bit, and then sit down.
All right.
Not like
I'm
I
getting a
can.
lot of dog thoughts. I think it's a dog.
There's a yeah.
There's always something at the edge of your vision when you kind of turn and you need to hunt it.
Yeah,
Yes.
just at the tip of your tail.
I'm getting fleas. I'm
Yeah,
getting
what the hell is
sausages.
this? And what the hell is he licking? Oh my God! Break the
Oh
connection!
my
Break the
God.
connection! Break the
No,
connection!
no.
All right, so that's what you do.
erase.
That's what you do.
Alter memory.
Error. Deleting spells.
And it's another 5.5 hours of waiting and waiting and waiting. Con, you see them first before anybody else does. Riders are being dispatched from Velen Hold. You count 20 before you give up because you realize that that's just 20 out of this gate. You can see out of the southern gate another
That is why.
squad of people leaving in that direction.
Oh dear.
As well, all just disseminating out across the kingdom of Brunei. And
I'm gonna have sort of cast mage armor, and I'm gonna have a short rest
all right,
before we get there.
not a problem.
That's
Are you and Jorek riding inside the carriage with Atra on the front? Are you disguising yourself, Atra? Or are you?
Yeah,
just
once we get closer, sure.
All right. Yeah, you notice the riders before they notice you. They're not particularly
So
looking.
there are knights for to accompany us, or they're messengers.
No, these just ride straight past you. They look like they are bearing messages. And they look as if they're going at quite some speed. Yeah. So inside the
Adru'sai-
wagon, you hear these horses charging past you at full length as the wagon makes its way towards Velen Hold. By the time you arrive at Velen Hold, Con, you hear this as well. There is a pealing of bells. But it's not just it's not one of those nice melodic in the distance kind of bells of the church ringing out. It is this cacophony of bell strokes from every different temple thrashing out a call to the people trying to get louder and louder than the neighbor. And you're fairly convinced you can feel the ground vibrating, and some of the deeper bells are just being slammed with the hammers inside of them to really
Well, I'm a
send
dog,
out
so I'm
the
probably
sound.
quite grateful that I'm out of line of sight of the city. At least.
Right, absolutely.
Oh.
Like this.
Correct. So that's
Adru'sai, we're getting close to the city. Do you think you could make me look like an ice elf?
Sorry, I can only do the thing on me yet. I'm working on getting it for other people, but no, just me.
All right.
Besides, I think I have to focus on doing that anyway.
I have a disguise kit. I might try something. We'll see.
Can I
the
sort of
makeup
give him part of as much
put the
of my
makeup
clothes as I
on.
can to give him some fancy matey clothes?
Powder just.
just powder, just sort of smack yourself with it.
Oh,
But for serious, I'm gonna do my best to disguise myself as
Okay.
an ice elf, not an
I
ice
mean, you
elf,
are an elf already.
just an
Yeah.
ice elf.
Significantly easier for you
I'm
than
gonna sort of give him a silk scarf to sort of keep over his head demurely, sort of servant-like.
Yeah.
All right, so you're going to try and do
Gotta
that.
work with what we have
You've got to work
here.
with what you got. Okay, Jorek, give me a deception check, if you please.
Please roll well.
Deception check. Right.
I mean,
Oh, 19.
19.
Hey!
Yeah, so you and Adru'sai by candlelight are busy sitting there, sort of trying to powder and dust and paint Jorek to look as much like an ice elf as possible. At one point, Adru'sai, you lean back and you're like, "Oh, I think we've gone too many blue veins," because he looks sort of like he's got lightning across his face. So you kind of quickly rub that off and you go back towards the more white side of things. And until eventually
Do another
you-
layer on top, and it looks great.
You think you've got a pretty good idea of an ice elf.
Yes.
Quite a handsome male ice elf, as a matter of fact. So you two are pretty proud of yourselves as the
I'd get in
carriage.
there.
15 charisma.
Yeah, there we go.
I'd get in there. And I give him the sort of the scarf and help him sort of arrange it, just in a sort of nice servant-like fashion.
Very well.
And then I practice my Dengathwin hunch, and there's sort of. I will rule the world
It's a pretty
with
good
my gross fingers.
It's a pretty good impersonation, as a matter of fact, of Dengathwin. Actually, you see the you see lying on the road a dog who seems possibly happy to see you. Con, there is a wagon approaching. It's
I
not
ignore the
being
dog.
it's not being driven by Atra. It is an official Valenhold wagon. It's the first one that you've seen this afternoon, evening.
You're muted.
If you ignore the dog, you run over the dog because the dog is sat in the middle of the road.
The dog is kind of silly.
What do you think my character will do? I will fucking run over the dog if he doesn't get away.
No.
The horses are getting closer. The dog's dog. You're just sitting there. Dog is sitting there.
Turn into an
Horses are sort of getting closer
The
and
dog
closer.
understands horses.
The dog, what?
Understands horses better than the driver does, clearly.
Sure, absolutely,
That's not wrong.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Give me an
most horses will
animal
not.
handling check, please.
I mean, war horses would just run through, but not carriage horses.
No, absolutely.
Yeah,
So,
like you have to train horses to do
More
that.
horses
Absolutely.
would do that.
correct.
Yeah.
So, Atra, if you want them to go through, you're going to have to make an animal handling check. Otherwise, they do come to a stop at this dog. As it sits there looking vaguely dog-like.
Fine dog, you win. I'll try to move you around.
Well, as soon as the horses stop, I transform back into a person. And give them a little pat on the nose.
Oh.
Yeah,
Ruffle of the hair.
you can tell these horses are they're dying. At the moment, their hearts are twice the size that they should be. The blood is pumping, but this animal is not likely to survive.
Then I cast lesser restoration on both of them.
They're now likely to survive. As both of them
evening.
start to calm down, their muscles start to relax a little bit. One of them gives you a great big lick with a tongue that's the size of your head. As it
It's like the hair's now like this.
Yeah. As it feels remarkably better than it did moments before.
There have been developments.
Is that Con? Hi, Con.
Are we already inside of the city?
No, not yet.
We're out of sight of the city.
Still about an hour to go. Yeah.
All right. I say, all right. Con? Yes, it is. And I kind of just...
Ow,
You do have your little slidey.
Yes.
thing, yeah. You just sort of
Jorek
bang.
sticks his head out and just get on board, Con. Jorek is like white like an ice elf, and light blue silk and transparent face veils. Like, what the fuck?
I climb up.
Also, you're supposed to be a woman, right?
I don't think
We went with
that
Guy.
far with this guy's kit.
I climb up onto the seat next to Atra and look at through the hatch in the back there at these two.
Hi. I haven't transformed yet, but
Right.
I'm doing my best at a.
Atra, you may want to walk for the time being. We're not in a huge hurry. Our scaly white friend has managed to beat us here, hardly surprising.
What?
The
The
dragon?
same one?
It's currently held up in the palace of Lord Spoth, as it would happen. The great Hierophant palace at the center of the city, I believe.
Oh, that's worse than we thought.
That
Oh, it
complicates
gets
things.
better. It gets better.
Does it?
Yes. So the priests, all the high priests of the city gathered with Lord Spoth to have a little conference with our scaly white friend.
Uh-huh.
To discuss the future of, the world order, as it were. Our scaly white friend is quite keen to be set up as the new great deity of Braxia. And
wow.
needless to say, the priests, spineless fools that they are now working hard to facilitate this without themselves being killed.
That is a lot more out in the open than I expected.
Venkatani is dead, killed by our scaly white friend,
Oh.
who
Well,
is
that's something.
quite annoyed that Lord Dengathwin has yet to arrive at the city. He's expected.
How?
Of course, who's going to meet him at the Temple of Tandas at this point, now that Venkatani is dead, is anybody's
That's
guess.
something. Also, he was a lich,
Huh. Well,
which is a thing we know now,
According to Atra, he was a lich.
which means that there might be issues in calling back his spirit to talk to. But we'll have to look into that. I'll have to dredge up what I know about phylactery, and
If we could find the phylactery, that would be
even
great.
to understand
that would
what
be
this
great.
was-
There might be a way to track it. I'll have to look into that. I haven't thought about it just in a long time. It was a thing, like when I was
Atra,
15,
you said that we'd be
16. I
able
was
to
really into
interrogate the-
liches.
Adru'sai.
I can only listen to one person at a time.
Yeah.
Atra, you said we would absolutely be able to question Lord Dengathwin after you killed him.
Yes.
Is this not the case?
In light of news, no.
Why not?
Because his soul is not that of a living person anymore.
Yes, but why can we not speak to it?
His soul is anchored to a different place. Releasing him would mean releasing him.
You're unable to communicate with him without releasing him?
Yes.
I see. Splendid.
Well,
Let's put finding the phylactery on the list of things we need to do.
we're getting a bit of a list, and we still have Spoff to get to. We might be able to punch something out of him.
With the dragon at the moment.
Yeah, that's certainly an issue.
Do you still want to go through with your book tour?
Yes, absolutely. I realize you haven't been here for this, but this book is world-changing levels of powerful, and we cannot let them have this.
No.
This is I mean, you like the world, right, Atra? I mean, even with your
Not
profession and
particularly.
everything, you don't like this world and being in it.
You like being alive, though, right?
Like the whole things existing, and food and sunlight and.
The world will continue to exist, no matter who leads it.
Well, with dragons, I'm not so sure. They have a tendency to shake things up a lot.
Right. Anyway, we need this book.
Yes.
And
I
then
think in light of your comrade's new information, I really need to speak to a person of the high clergy that I know personally.
I assume your friend in the Temple of Reft.
Indeed.
Well, I'd be circumspect if I were you. He was most delighted at this.
He's always delighted. He's the high priest of Reft.
He was there with the dragon. Well, then you're probably not going to be able to talk to him either way.
Why not?
Because he's with the dragon. You're not going to walk in and go, "Oh, hi, Mr. Dragon. I need this guy for a minute."
Well,
Oh,
I'm
well.
sure they won't stay there all day. They're bringing, as you can hear, all hell's breaking loose. I assume the priests are summoning their congregations to do whatever it is they've decided to do.
Yes.
Well, since you now have a driver,
Yes.
looking at Con,
Oh, you want to take off then?
well, I will loiter around the temple as soon as I can, but there is information that needs to be shared and gathered, I guess.
Right.
Okay.
Well, I appreciate that at least.
Sure. That's fine.
So-
We'll stay in touch.
And I will know if the temple is on fire that perhaps you need help.
We'll try not to set
Yes.
it on fire.
No, that might actually work out in our favor.
You're willing to burn down the library? All right.
Yes, of course.
Adru'sai, are you all right?
Yes, look, there is a bigger picture here. I like books, but I like the world more.
All right, sure. Let's move.
Well then, is there any more information we need to pass?
I think that's about it.
And no,
The
not
cat's
too-
all right, and the ship's fine. There was a bit of an attack, but everything's fine, Con.
Yeah,
Everyone's alive.
Sekhet fought off the Sun Chaser from the Archon.
Good.
We
Yes,
managed to
they were
disable
apparently-
her and execute the captains and take her. So we now have a
Wait, wasn't that the ship you wanted to meet up in north?
yeah.
No, that was another one, but turns out the one up in the north is not as good as we hoped.
No, they were the one who sent the Sun Chaser after us.
Yes, who's still flying,
Yes.
which is bad.
Well, I'll see you
But
at
it's
the
been
temple.
dealt with, so it's fine.
All right, oh, good luck, Etra.
Yeah, you too. And
Thank you.
don't share more information than you need to. Work with what you
No,
got.
I'm getting there.
All right. Good luck.
Good luck.
And kind of smack the horse on the
Have
ass
fun.
to get them
Don't
going.
stay up late.
Wait, so just to make sure, Atra, you still driving the carriage? No.
Con's driving the carriage.
Con's driving the carriage. All right.
I slap the reins and give the horses their little
Yep.
audio cue.
They're quite happy to move at a pretty swift pace for you. They can smell that you're now driving this entire affair, and they remember that you brought them back from near death, so they're quite willing to do that. So the carriage rumbles away to Velenhold, leaving you, Atra, on the side of the road.
I'm heading to the Temple of Reft.
Right. Okay, so that's where you're going. Not a problem. You're going to get there first because you're not pulling a wagon behind you. I'm assuming you've summoned your horse. All right.
Yeah, Pebbles.
Sure. And you arrive at Velenhold, and the entire city is ablaze with light, much brighter than it has been in the past. And the streets are virtually empty as you ride through them. No one is out trying to sell anything. People are gathered in clusters, in queues and crowds almost outside of all of the different temples. and you can hear a dozen priests in multitudes of languages busy reading out from these
Proclamations.
Proclamations, these large scrolls, that there has been a new divine moment in the history of Brax, and all who are faithful should turn their prayers and thoughts now to the new herald of a new era. And the churches are...
I don't want anymore.
The churches are giving their full backing to this newly arrived messenger from the gods. And as a matter of fact, he isn't a messenger from the gods. He is a god. And,
Living god.
Speaking of which, do they mention a name?
You haven't arrived yet, but they do certainly mention a name.
I figured I actually should have asked that before when Con was listening. I was thinking it.
But at some point they're gonna arrive in the city, so
Yeah,
they can hear the name.
Correct. The new god, the one true god that will now be worshipped from now until all eternity's end, is known as Kashadrax.
Well, of course it is.
Like Kesha.
Kashadrax.
Kim Kardashian.
No.
And Kashadrax is bringing around radical transformation and change, and has sworn that there will no longer be a difference between those who have money and those who don't. It is a future where
everybody's
the
a
most
worm.
common
Yes.
of commoners is equal as the lords of the land. And that...
Look, weird cult is going to be happy at least.
But the nobility is not gonna be happy.
Oh, indeed. And as you are sort of walking through the halls at Trementum, you do hear that the call that's being made is that if you have family who are commoners, you are to urge them that they should resist any attempt of their evil and misguided and completely
Guy,
godless lords.
Let me reminisce. How did in history go peasant uprisings usually?
Yes. Those ones weren't usually backed by dragons, though.
Well, one dragon in a whole big of a world who doesn't give a flying.
No,
I've already seen Dragonheart. It
absolutely.
works well. It works fantastically.
It's also one dragon in the middle of the Brunei Kingdom.
Says
which
the
is
Swede, right?
not a
the
great,
Danes.
not a great nation. Brunei's not bad, but yeah, they don't have the other nations to contend with.
So yeah, I would continue to go to the halls of Reft,
Sure.
and if I cannot get in, then I so you say this the halls of Reft. I went up to meet the.
You go right up to the top, yes. They let you through because they noticed originally that you and Lord Rel were actually pretty close, or at least certainly seemed to be anyway. He didn't cut your head off at the mass slaughter. So you do eventually find him. He is at the very top of the tower and is currently looking over vast pages of numbers, and he seems to be quite perturbed. When you walk in, his face lights up and he says, "Ah, if it isn't my newest favourite friend. Come in. Tell me, the plan we had, you haven't done anything on that yet, I'm hoping. It would be awfully bad if that individual that we were talking about was to end up dead."
Oh, he already was dead when I met him.
I don't follow. I thought you were going to assassinate him here in the city.
Things changed.
Yes, things have changed. Very much so they have changed. So he is already dead, you say?
He was already for some time.
Someone else killed him?
I assume, yes.
Huh.
I'm not lying here.
I love how you're just skirting
Clearly,
around the
He
truth.
had many enemies. Either way, that's good news to know. Just a second, he says, and he leans over and he sort of summons one of his very many naked nubile servants over, and he whispers in her ear and she nods and she goes scurrying off. He's like, I'm just arranging my successor. What can I do for you? You've come back to tell me you couldn't kill him, so the deal is with Spoth is off?
Don't you want Spoth to die anymore?
Well, I think that you're going to find that contract has a very high price on it, much higher than a minor street carnival certainly would warrant. So no, I wouldn't want anyone to think that I was ever thinking of doing anything to our Lord Spoth. A noble creature he is too. I think that for the most part, there's very little that we have left to say. To one another, except that perhaps, how good are you at smuggling people out of countries?
I personally have very little expertise in that regard, but I work for the Cabal.
Yes. Yeah, as he's sort of thinking about it, this other priest comes waddling in, this portly kind of thing. He looks over. Oh, if it isn't old Pulcum, come here. You've been a priest of Ref for a long time. You know all the scriptures, don't you? Yes, you do. I know you do. Yeah, you taught me. Remember? Well done, you've just been made Lord High Priest of Reft. Here we are, and he sort of pulls this amulet off of his neck, and he sort of tosses it over to this fat idiot who grabs it with glee. And the Lord Rel says, now before you think of even trying to decapitate me and then make love to my entrails, I gave that to you fair and square, so my friend here, and he looks over at you, Atra, is a well-known assassin. Try and touch me, and he will make sure that you don't get to live long enough to actually get your name inscribed on these great temple walls. Until then, I suggest you look over these finances, as our new god has declared that we are to supply 1 million crowns by tomorrow. So you, good luck with that, yes. For now, Atra, you've got a nice inn somewhere that we can stay at, I'm sure?
Of course.
Excellent, good. Let's walk and talk, shall we? Walk and talk, he says as he starts.
Then let's get walking.
Yes. Good luck with that, Pillock. Whatever your name is. I can never remember him. He's such a moron. He says as he sort of very quickly sort of rushes you out of the high chamber.
And so what I would then speak about him, obviously, since I gave him information and he seems scared of it out of his pants,
yes.
In his case quite literally, I assume.
Yes.
I want to get his kind of take on the situation and what he's willing to share with me, basically.
Full disclosure, there is a dragon who has somehow got out from the cages that they were put in a long time ago, and he has quite severe clout behind him, being a dragon. Lord Spoth has endorsed him as the new god. So,
So you said Lord Spoth is a creature? What did you mean by that?
He's a foul old elf who will grab at any power he possibly can. He should have been a worshipper of Reft. He would have gone far. But Spoth is this dragon's puppet. It's very clear, and I don't see anything to condemn the man for that. The dragon is particularly powerful and quite angry, and somehow seems to know an awful lot about our organizations. I'm going to have words with members of the Order of the Hastari and quite possibly actually just all of them. I think that was their job to keep dragons out of our plane of existence. So with this one showing up, it's not good.
So let me ask you a question.
Yes.
What are you now that you gave up your title?
Now I am a devout worshipper of... who do you worship? Reft as well, perhaps? It doesn't matter, really. Sorry. Pardon me, I misspoke. Forgive me my irreverence. I am now a loyal worshipper of Kashadrax the Great. Lord Spoth made a decree this evening. All of us had to agree or die, and I don't like dying, so everyone agreed, naturally. It'll get as far as the King of Brunei. He will start an army, he'll come and invade, there'll be a big battle. I assume the Hastari will arrive and slay the dragon, and everything will go back to being the way that it was. Spoth will be executed for being a traitor, and then I will return and cut out Polvin, or whatever the hell his name is. I'll cut his heart out and take my place back as Lord of Reft, once the gods have been reinstalled.
All right.
I can pay you then.
Oh, that's fine. You might be very glad to hear that I have connections to the Hastari then.
That is, in a way, good. I had expected to see them here now. Don't they have powers to track dragons? I thought that was the whole reason why we gave them money every year, but apparently I was mistaken. Anyway, shall we get a move on? I don't think it's a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, we are moving at the same time, right?
Be here right now.
We're heading to, I guess, one of the whorehouses of Lord Kasha Drax.
Yes, absolutely. Quite an interesting character. Certainly not what I would have envisaged as our Lord and Saviour. Anyway, he certainly knows how to indulge himself, so I suppose. Out with the old, in with the new. Yes, if only the new weren't so eager to freeze you like an icicle. He dashes alongside of you. Eventually, the three of you, in your rickety wagon, arrive at the great gates of Velen Hold, and this very angry, very tall-looking paladin steps forward, and he says, "Halt! Where are you going?"
To the Temple of Tundas. We're expected.
Casting alter self at this point.
Meow. Oh, wait.
Who's in there?
Wait. Sorry, that's my cat. It's very nasty.
He looks at you. You are carrying someone important?
I imagine that your garrison has been notified to expect a particular arrival.
But there have been changes. I am now required to inspect every wagon coming in and out of these gates.
If you want to delay us all more further, be my guest. We're late as it is. I'm sure
I do not delay. It is our new rules that delay. He says, and he sort of strides.
I'm not pleased about this.
He strides to the back of the wagon. He's joined by his young fellow. You notice this is the one that they call Warv. And the back of the wagon is, there's a sort of a tentative knock first.
I open the door.
What is this interruption? Rowan, deal with them.
I try to put on my best Ice Elven accent. I know they speak a language very similar to Sekhet, and Jorek speaks Sekhet, so I try to shift my accent to be similar to Ice Elven accent. I've heard them speak.
Because everybody knows what Ice Elven accents are.
Someone might.
Just the right people might.
The right people might. The one sort of glares inside. He looks at the two of you, and he says, "Are you Lord Dengathwin?"
Who is this imbecile? Of course I am. Now let us through, before I inform my superiors about your ineptitude.
He looks at you, Ice Elf, up and down, and then looks across at his
glare back.
fellow paladin next to him. The fellow paladin is like, "Well, if, we are expecting Lord Dengathwin, so Warv, I think we should let them through." He looks back in the carriage, he kind of scowls, and then he closes the door anyway.
Scowl back.
And you can hear people sort of climbing up onto the back of the wagon and then two onto the sides. He looks over at you. He's holding onto the side of the carriage and looks at you, Con. "You may proceed, but I'm watching you." he says as he's sort of holding onto the side of the carriage.
Should you not be watching for threats to the High Lord instead?
Oh.
You do not tell me my job. I do not tell you how to drive this wagon. He says, and he kind of turns to face the crowd rather than you.
I crack the reins.
All right. There is, of course,
That's a
no
decent walking
carnival
impersonation, by the way.
because you are early. The carnival's only planned for tomorrow morning, and that's been cancelled anyway because, well, let's just say Drax prefers to use his people in different ways. This merrymaking nonsense is,
As food.
is a waste of time. Yes, pretty much.
Slave labour.
Yes. Well, he has an army to build. You arrive at this the courtyard that leads into the temple of Tandas, and these young, very nervous-looking monks come rushing out. They look up at you, Con, and they
Good evening.
Yes. This is Lord Dengathwin.
Indeed.
Yes. Okay. Good. That's fine. Thank you for bringing.
What's all the racket about?
By all of the things. He just starts crying. He just starts crying. He can't handle it. Another priest comes sort of rushing over and moves him to the side, looks up at you and says, "Yes, thank you. I'll sign for the wagon. If you
Sign for the High Lord.
I just drive the thing. You speak to the master. He's inside.
No, you should have a board with some paper on it to say that you've delivered."
I look around the driver's seat.
Stuck in between the wedge of the seat and the back of the wagon, there is this old piece of board, and there's this delivery note. It just says, from Lorcan Castle, Tandas, to Tandas, Valenhold. He takes it, he sort of signs on it, scribbles on it, looks up at you and says, "You are early. I should just point this out. You're supposed to get here tomorrow. But it's fine. Everything is ready for his lordship." He hands it back to you, and then he sort of rummages around in his robes and he flicks up a gold coin at you. Right, good, thank you.
I pocket it. Free money.
Bevy of young sort of novices get hurried around. "Come on, stand in a line. Yes, come on." And they sort of form this line. And then the two of you inside, there is this very tentative on the outside of the wagon.
Wave at Jorek to...
I open the door and say, "Yes."
You are
Move
greeted.
them out of the way, Rowan. I need space.
I step out and I open the
tumble
door and I
over
push the
each other
servant
to sort of
aside.
get to the side. This
you
is
know,
a
so it's
priest of
past-
Tandas.
I cast Tensor's
Fine, I
floating
push
disc
the priest
outside
aside.
You cast.
I cast Tensor's floating disc right
Nice.
outside then just sort of step onto it.
Yes. And you start floating out. There are these 10 priests all lined up. Each of them is holding a beautifully illuminated book ready for you assume your inspection. You're not entirely sure why, but that's what they do when dignitaries arrive. It is Tandas, after all. As you float down, this priest who has been sort of managing affairs scurries along next to, but slightly behind you. "My Lord Dengathwin, it's such an honour to have you here. You remember we met at in Quethlin. There was that opening of the new library there,
Is everything prepared? I don't have time for prattling nonsense.
Yes, of course, absolutely. Yes.
If you wish to be in my good graces, you can be silent and efficient now and not rest of some prior meeting.
He sort of falls back a little bit and sort of points onwards towards this large door. You float past all the books, I suppose.
Yeah.
I'm almost tempted to give
I just-
ask for a
sort
wisdom
of-
saving throw, and you didn't stop, but just oh, it's so shiny!
Oh my god, it's a first edition! Where
yes,
did you get this? It's signed by the author.
you float past these the books.
Jorek is walking next to the floating disc and trying to look imposing, but I mean, I'm a scrawny elf, but I'm doing my best to look dangerous.
Just you're sort of
Yes.
leading the disc, sort of steering it.
Right. They did not know to expect the ice elf. They didn't know to expect much, as a matter of fact. And you are shown into this large waiting room where very hastily there's still priests everywhere laying out a table with food and trying to make it look like it actually works and looks good, at least, I suppose. But the moment you sort of arrive, they all back away and stand to attention as you float into the room. Would you like some refreshment before we show you to your rooms? He says, looking more at you, Jorek, than anybody else.
Yes.
Right. Well, then that's all. It's all being prepared as we speak. He shows you to two chairs, and they bring wine, and they pour it first for you, Jorek, and sort of wait to see if it's okay. Then once you've approved of it, they then tentatively try and pour it for Lord Dengathwin. How long does your spell last for, Adru'sai?
Which one? the altar
Altar
self?
self, yes.
1 hour.
1 hour, all right. So, yeah, you start eating. They don't eat. They all stand quietly. Every now and again, Jorek, you get bothered by someone who comes up and says, there's been a bit of a change. There's been a bit of a...
Speak up.
We were told that Lord Dengathwin was going to come and meet with our Lord here.
Venkatani, yes, we know.
Yes, Lord Venkatani has been replaced.
This was not the plan.
No, it wasn't the plan. It was quite sudden. There's been quite an upheaval.
It was a flash.
In the religious hierarchies. I'm just wondering perhaps if maybe you and your lord would care to be our guests for a day or two whilst things quieten down.
For a day or two. We are here on business.
I understand that.
Urgent business.
I understand that.
Where is Venkatani?
I think he was floating in Lord Rel's drink the last time
Oh, damn.
we heard from him. But he.
All right, who is his replacement?
We're trying to find out. It's a complicated situation. The successor.
Rowan.
You're it.
Rowan. I sort of wave a crooked finger.
I completely ignore the priest and turn to Adru'sai. Yes, my lord?
I sort of beckon him in and sort of butter. I wish to see the library. Make it happen.
As you wish, my lord. I turn to the priest. We're going to the library. Show us.
Now?
Yes, now. The lord wishes to see the library.
Enjoy the dessert. We will get the library ready for Lord Dengathwin.
Good.
Yes. Right. He goes scurrying off. Sekhet. Captain Ty reports. Well, the Windswift is probably at about 70%, I would say, in terms of being ready. The Sunchaser is still a goodly way to go. She does, however, float, We've raised her out of the water quite successfully. I'm not sure what speeds you're going to be able to get out of her, but she certainly floats. Yes, she can. Well, I wouldn't travel at the usual height, but she should be good to go. And her skiff is still intact, as a matter of fact.
Oh, okay. Just one quick question. The bushy-tailed one didn't volunteer to be on the Sun Chaser, did he?
The druid,
Probably best to keep him with
No, he said that he was invested as the... what did he say? Oh, the ship is his grove. I'm not sure what that means exactly, but he said that Commodore Con said that this was his new charge.
No, I believe he's going to grow some interesting moss in
Is that
cabin.
what he's growing? I just thought he needed a bath. Very well. In that case, then, no, the bushy-tailed one did not volunteer to join the Sun Chaser.
That's okay. That nightmare didn't come true then. That's fine. And,
Cabin will be joining you as your chief gunner. Meos, obviously, you have asked for him to be your Batman, which I assume is first officer. Then you have one of the deckhands.
No. Hang on. I just need him to be my Batman, not the first officer, because he's still at that impressionable age, Ty, and I feel removing him from the influence of the barbarians is possibly a good idea at this stage. So, especially considering his very dodgy taste in loincloths at the moment. So, you didn't tell him he was first officer, right?
No, I said he would be serving directly under you and should report directly to you.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. And we've got a gunner, and who else?
Then you have Miss Jocelyn Stoke. I'm afraid that's it. You said you didn't want any of the barbarians to travel with you, so it's a rather small crew.
That's it. No one else volunteered.
There isn't anyone else to volunteer.
Oh dear. Okay.
You said Hurricane was to remain with me, and well, I need a gunner, so that's Bajora. I have Aldwin. I'm not sure who else you would want to allocate, unless you take Hurricane as well.
Who would cook for your crew?
I'm sure the barbarians know how to boil something in oil.
Are any of the Sun Chaser crew left, or did I manage to...
They're all currently in the brig. I assumed we wouldn't be using them.
I think they might have to. Might have to go and have a little chat.
The entire crew in the brig.
Well, we're very tightly squeezed in there.
Not many of them survived. A lot of them have rather large fire burns.
Yes, but they can still work. It's all good. Well, let's go and have a little chat with men and women in the brig.
Right.
Sorry, Ty. I just need a few more people. I wasn't going to wind up taking some of the barbarians, and I'm just not sure. I mean, I don't mind taking... No, but then they're left without a leader, and I'm not sure that's quite a good idea either. Yes, let's go and have a chat with the lovely people in the crew, in the brig.
All right. You head down to the brig. There are 6 people in the brig. One of them, the 7th, you realise probably shouldn't have been put onto the brig, but possibly onto a plate with an apple in his mouth. He's so well done that there's very little hope of him coming back from the roasting. So the 6 look at you defiantly. One of them spits in your general direction. Traitor, he says as you walk in.
Well, you see, that's kind of what I was going to ask you guys. When you call me a traitor, how many of you wanted to be in league with the dragons?
None of them respond immediately. Give me an insight check.
Should be ready for that. Ooh, 17.
All right. You realize that the one who called you the traitor is obviously the ringleader of the gang, and whatever that person says, whatever he says, the rest seem to blindly follow. You notice the ones behind him look like deckhands, cooks, people who were below deck during the battle anyway, and hence the ones that were most likely to survive.
So, Mr. Spittyface, won't be taking you anywhere because you're not very nice, and
I wouldn't cooperate with a traitor. Yes, you're quite right.
Ty, could you arrange for his head to be cut off when I've gone, please? And the rest of you, who else would like to continue following this man?
Give me an intimidate check. You have advantage.
Well, the best one out of those two is 16.
16. 1 raises their hand, 2 raises both hands, 3 raises their hands, 4 does not, 5 raises their hands. So, what was that? 4 of them are willing to join your crew.
Ah, good. Lieutenant Ty, anyone who didn't raise their hands will also be having their head cut off.
Another one raises their hand quite quickly.
That's nice. Very good. So a little update here. Your captains were in league with the dragons. I'm not. I will be using their technology, though, to do something. But I am not in league with the dragons. And therefore, if you follow me, you're taking the correct course. If you're not following me, you're a traitor and will have your head cut off. Is that perfectly clear with everybody?
The 5 nod quite emphatically. The one that is left in the cell remains stoically quiet.
Okay, you can take him away, Ty. I mean, when you're done with... I'm sure... Oh, I've forgotten her bloody name again.
Piora.
Piora will deal with him and then chuck his body overboard. That's nice. So I'm going to go back onto the Sun Chaser. I'd quite like you to come and help in your usual roles. And we will go from there. Quite sure what I'm going to be doing, but I have a cunning plan.
All right, you transfer across the 5. I'll give you their names later. I've got them written down. It's a little bit of a list. And you start to make the Sun Chaser ship shape. She is definitely holy, and her mainmast does not have any yard arms. They snapped off, if you remember, when she sort of slapped into the side of the Windswift. So you've got the forward sail and you've got the lateen at the back. So your speed will be reduced, but at least she is hovering. And perhaps it's a rather old but familiar sensation of no longer being rocked by the waves, but this gentle, calm hovering that you find yourself experiencing. At Trementum, are you doing anything special with Lord Rel, or are you just going to get rooms?
I guess we're going back to the place where we stayed a few days before.
Sure, absolutely. He knows it well.
And once he's there, I kind of, on the way there, I tried to make some small talk, kind of try to get it, like, obviously he's scared out of his mind and therefore not really used to me right now, or the entire operation. But basically what I'm going to tell him is that I'm going to go and see if I can get those Hastari people that I know of and bring them there so he can speak with them. But the one thing that I want to impart with him is that his plan seems a little bit preying on what other people do, and I think it would be good that he would oversee some of those things himself. Right, so my goal is basically to implant it in his mind that maybe he should go to the King of Brunei and make him raise the army and make him go. That's kind of where I'm at with my head right now, because he said
Right.
like, I'm hoping that there's gonna do things, and I'm at the end. I'm not doing anything myself, and I'm ending up
Yeah.
fine.
You start to plant the seed, but you're not sure if it's going to grow or not, because you get the sense that this guy, although he was quite happy to kill people, and he's obviously quite skilled at it, he doesn't like doing anything for himself. And there's many times where he walks almost into the door expecting someone else to have opened it. But you get the sense that, well, maybe he should go to the king. That's not maybe the safest place, actually, is with the king.
And by the way, I would not indulge his like noble tendencies in that. Like if he wants to run into a door, fine by me.
Yes, he learns that. He's quite hurt the first time you don't open the door. There's a look on his face, but you realise he's smart enough to realise that he's not going to make friends if he makes any moment out of it. So he does sort of.
It's a learning experience.
Open the door. Disgusting.
Yeah, but like I can like obviously being in the noble court is kind of the only place where he's maybe
grown up. Absolutely, yeah.
Right. So.
Correct. All right, back to the three of you and your deception. You have now spent half an hour at dinner. Sorry, yes, Simon?
And once we are there, then I would leave for the temple, which is what I said I would do.
Right.
So
Yes.
probably meeting up with Con again, I guess.
Hopefully. Yes, Con, where have you gone? You've got your 1 gold tip. And
Yes.
the paladins sort of bang on the side. You will take us back.
What?
You will take us back to the gate, driver.
I'm not doing no such thing. I'm not your taxi driver. I serve the High Lord Dengathwin. You can bloody well get yourselves back to the gate. Then I look at whatever priests are still loitering. Where do I park this thing?
The paladin steps down and he says, "This is the wagon of Valenhold. It is not your private vessel."
Fine, take it. Where's the servants' entrance? I'm hungry.
You do not understand.
I don't serve you. I'm not part of you, whatever organization you represent. Now, I've done my bit, and I'm waiting for the Lord High Archon's pleasure. That is my job. Good evening to you, sir. And I walk off towards, trying to follow my nose towards, there must be a kitchen.
Oh, there's definitely smells. The kitchen staff have been woken up because the Lord Dengathwin wanted dinner. Now the Lord Dengathwin wants to go to the library instead of having dinner.
The kitchen is the heart of any...
Oh, yeah.
I go straight for that.
The one paladin, the big one, starts to move towards you, his hand drifting towards his mate at his side. When the little one runs up next to him and kind of goes, "I'm not so sure this is the right time to do something like this just yet. It's a wagon. I'm sure we can drive it back. So let's just let the little man go and do what he needs to do." There's much cajoling, and you don't hear the noise outside as you sort of step into the kitchens. The kitchens are just a mess of staff sort of shouting, "Well, what does he like to eat? I'm not a bloody mind reader. Did he not like the pork? No, he didn't touch the bloody pork. Okay, what about the fish? No, he ate all the fish. Well, have we got any more fish then? I don't know. How am I supposed to make a dessert out of fish?" God. So that's the sort of noise that's going on. Someone sees you come in, looks at you. You look a little bit haggard, I suppose. Yes?
Oh, don't mind me. I'm with the entourage you're currently serving.
Oh, are you really? Oh, good, because then you can tell us, what does your entourage eat?
That's not my problem. Thank you.
No, it isn't your problem at all. How silly of us to have thought that the people who are going to be feeding you shouldn't be your problem. They point to the door out of the kitchen.
Bye. I pick up a piece of bread on my way through. I'm not anyone highfalutin. You're not serving me.
All you hear as you're sort of walking out of the kitchen is the chef starting to roll the snot in the back of her nose into this great big phlegmy gob.
I stop and turn and look at the chef, and I pierce it with quite a look. Are you really going to play with your future like that?
Is this what you want to do with your life?
Wow.
Or are you a professional?
She swallows.
Because I can assure you, under the current climate, in case you're unaware, only pure professionalism is likely to get you through. Dangerous times.
Out of my
Everybody's followed.
kitchen, she
Bye.
says.
Ooh, the burns.
Oh, yes, the vitriol that was floating. Adru'sai, it has been half an hour since you assumed the guise of Dengathwin.
Yes.
You and Jorek have shown...
How long has it been since we asked for the library?
Probably about 5 minutes.
Oh, that's fine then.
And they come scurrying forward and look up at you. All right, we've opened up 7 sections of the library. If you could tell us what you'd like to see, we can get those books ready for you without any delay whatsoever.
My friend Lord Belgain has been sending books for quite a while now. I would like to see the collection which has been deemed worthy of such literary attention.
Yes. He looks at you, Jorek, and sort of... Might I have a word, just for a moment, Your Eminence? He says, looking
I'm
back
right
at
here.
Lord Dengathwin. He scurries up to you. Those books were in the Lord's private chamber, which we haven't gone into because he's dead. They're not part of the official library collection. He made that quite clear.
Do you see who's sitting here?
I understand that, but you have to understand, I don't have the authority. I'm just the steward of the temple. I'm not anyone of any importance. Lord Venkartani, I can't just go into his rooms.
Do I hear this?
Of course you can.
Do I hear this?
You do, yes.
Told you.
Venkatani has been a friend of mine for quite some time. If I wish to see his room, I will see his room.
You can see Jorek sort of lifting his shoulders a little bit, just like, and then turning back to Dengathwin and said, "Yes, my lord, I will deal with this." And I turn back to the servant.
Do it.
Now. Or we will lose our heads.
You guys
now.
are giving such a great performance. I don't want to use rolls. So this Dengathwin is just terrifying. The servant really doesn't know what to do either. His boss has just been frozen or speared. Right. Yes, absolutely. So they start to take you up quite a flight of stairs, deeper and deeper into the tower. Eventually, and you've now got 15 minutes left, he arrives at these very impressive double doors and tentatively pushes them open. You can see him waiting for some magic to discharge, but there isn't any discharge. And he then steps through and immediately incants a prayer to Tandas. By your knowledge may we see, by the light of the flame will you bring us knowledge. And the room illuminates. And there are shelves and books all around, but there is this large table right in the middle of the room. And in the center of that table, there are quite a pile of very expensive looking books. Adru'sai, from this distance, you can immediately tell those books are worth an absolute fortune. No doubt about it. But seated right in the middle of the table is this very large tome, which is absolutely unmistakable. It is the Tel Brakar.
Right.
And on that note, we'll be back next week as Adventures of the Windswift continue. Thank you for watching.
I hate you, guy.
I do take too much of a delight in it, I must admit. We'll be back for the return of the Windswift next week. Stay with us. If you don't stay for the review, thank you for watching. Until next time, goodbye. All right, review Dice of Destiny. Things are in motion, and here we go. Number 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Sekhet. 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 It is you up first. Yes.
Get it right, guy.
Such
One
nice,
day.
sweet
One day,
revenge.
one
for
day.
Many things. So, well, Sekhet's just plotting at this stage, isn't she? What is she up to?
Apart from terrifying the hell out of these poor people.
That was great.
Loved
There's
it.
a lot of intimidation going on. When the Order gets angry, the Order gets angry. So, Uthred, Rodiand, Rotkind, Orkin, and Morlu have now joined your crew. I'll give you those.
Great, I'm
names
going to
later.
remember those names.
Yeah.
Oh
completely.
yeah.
I expect you to remember them by rote. Yeah.
Great. So, yeah. She's clearly up to something, but what it is, they'll have to wait and see until next time. Subscribe now. So yeah, that was an interesting episode. Kind of wondering what Atra is up to as well, but otherwise, yeah, it's all moving nicely in the right direction. Sekhet has come up with her cunning plan. Very Blackadder of her.
Very Blackadder. You do
And-
have a sailing ship, though. You do have a
I
second
do have a sailing ship, and I have a flying ship.
That's right. And with Vis
what I
now having
have
his own
said-
ship, that gives you 3 to your fleet.
And somewhere the elusive Mutaro, I'm guessing. So
Right.
I'm
I
kind of
hope he's still alive.
hoping-
Possibly.
Not that we've made contact with him or anything, but we're hoping he's still alive. Maybe he'll comment below and let us know.
Just a side note, Lily kind of wakes up one day and goes, "Oh, I've just got a comment." Yeah. All right. So yeah, Sekhet, you're building your fleet slowly. The new order, or whatever it is called, the Fulcrum is now starting to gain strength, I suppose. What will you do with your new fleet of ships? We'll find out.
Oh.
Let's go anti-clockwise today. Atramentum.
We'll bring order to the galaxy.
Wait.
I mean, that's clearly the inspiration for yeah, right. Yeah. I mean, Atra is not on board with fighting dragons. That's not gonna happen.
Did not sign up for that.
Yeah, but like he's going to the temple right now, seeing if there's anything that needs to be saving. Doesn't seem that way right now.
Give it 15 minutes.
Yes.
But yeah, so I clearly have an idea of what I want to do next, but I need everybody to be at the same place to kind of speak with everybody. I think otherwise it's like a silent in the post. Yeah, it's like, I don't know, like message of the message kind of waters down.
Yeah,
Obviously things changed again, so we'll see.
We'll see. Jorek.
Wow, it's fun getting to do actual Jorek stuff. This is what Jorek is actually good at: disguise, forgery, deception, these kinds of things, from all of his growing up on the streets. So this is real fun. This is where he thrives. I mean, sure, he's a ranged damage dealer, but that's just, I can stand there shooting arrows. This is what he's good at.
Right.
So it's really fun to get to do this.
Right.
And I mean, he's a lawman as well, but you have to play both sides to know. So, I mean, I don't really have much to add on why I did what I did, because I've been just playing along as necessary.
Yeah.
And I've been enjoying myself from beginning to end. So this has been fun.
Well,
and that's
that's
all
good.
I'm going to say.
That's good.
Yeah, like actually that's a good thing. That the reason why I buried the treasure, at least part of the treasure, is just to get some money going, right? I mean, evil character has like his own, and this is like one of the things that I think you can do without hurting the party actively, right? Like that is money that can come back to the group if we need it, and it still shows. Same with not going just like, yeah, sure, I'll help you with your thing. Kind of, I'm there to help if necessary, like metagaming wise, but it still kind of showcases he's looking out for himself first and foremost, right?
Contingencies, absolutely. Con?
Interesting session. Escalation upon escalation. And it's kind of pushing things into that spontaneous make it up on the fly because you have to, which Con enjoys. Right now I'm kind of running interference for the book acquisitions team.
For the book club.
I will continue to spread chaos and confusion through the already confused and chaotic temple.
You nearly had a very angry Warv attack you. He was this close.
Wasn't lying. I don't work for them.
You don't work for them, no.
It's presumptuous of him to start ordering me about.
I mean, seriously, the man who's driving a Valenhold wagon doesn't work for Valenhold. Why would that possibly happen? I mean, it's inconceivable.
Because the real driver is dead.
You're not listening to the words coming out of my mouth. I do not work for you. Chill out.
The person you want is dead. He was murdered back there. It was horrid. You should go and find his body.
Also, I guess, trying to think on his feet, somewhat frustrated by not being able to get some really sort of vital, or at least the opportunity to try and get some vital intelligence that he really needs to plan ahead. And now is kind of like, well, we're flying blind, at least I am, and we're just going to have to make this up as we go along. So yeah, next episode should be interesting.
Indeed. And Adru'sai, or should I say Adru'sai the evil?
Adru'sai, Emperor Adru'sai. Yes.
I'm having so much fun. Like this is an example of those things that you do is completely nuts, and it's like probably not going to work, but I'm going to do it anyway because it'll be hilarious, and it is exactly as hilarious as I'd hoped it was going to be. I'm having so much fun.
Yeah.
Just, and I'm imagining Adru'sai having a lot of fun as well. Just the sort of.
Why are you shaking, my Lord Emperor? I'm trying not to laugh. Absolutely.
I'm just having fun. I'm just looking forward to like what's gonna happen, and it's just really interesting. Like that much more of an important guest that I thought it was gonna be, which is also funny, which makes it both easier and harder because they're never going to take their eyes off me at this point, along with the sort of ticking clock of the spell running out, which is fun. No, I'm just enjoying myself, really. I'm just a pig in mud at this point. I'm just like rolling around in this.
I have a plan for the ticking spell, so we'll see.
Oh yeah, that's
good.
There are a few solutions for it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's see if those solutions work out next week when we return with the Adventures of the Windswift. From me and everybody here, thanks for watching, and goodbye.